Hi, I'm Marcus Brooks and I'm a freelance filmmaker. Over the years, I've regularly found the need to use a teleprompter whilst filming product demos, how-tos and promos. However, I wanted to film something a little more dynamic than just a talking head. Ironic because this is obviously just a talking head, but this isn't a client video, so it's fine. I wanted to capture movement, whether it's subtle, just kind of panning left to right, or something a bit more choreographed where there's maybe several people that come in and out of frame and give a line to camera. So you could use a tripod for this and mount it on a set of dolly wheels, and that's okay, but if the ground is anything other than perfectly smooth, then this will show on the footage, and the camera is obviously rigid because it's on a tripod and there's nothing to absorb the bumps. It's not great. And yeah, you could use a slider system, but then that limits you to just going left and right, which obviously, I wanted more than that. So I came up with the way of mounting a teleprompter onto a gimbal. I'm surely not the only person in the world to have done this kind of thing, but with the kit that I have, I wanted to point out some of the challenges I've faced whilst running a setup like this, as well as highlight some of the key things that I think you should consider if you want to try this. Let's get started. The gimbal. Here's what we've got. We've got a DJI Ronin RS2. The gimbals vary when it comes to payload and clearance. You can have bigger gimbals and you can have smaller gimbals, but we're now in a place where this is pretty much a standard form factor and design for gimbals these days, so hopefully this will give you a general idea of what's possible in the real world. Camera and lens. In this case, I've got a Sony a7 III, which has a form factor that many of you are likely used to. Pretty much all of Sony's Alpha series cameras have the same body as this, and Canon's R5 series is very similar. For a lens, I think you should go with something that has at least a 35mm focal length if you're using a full frame camera, or a 50mm focal length if you're using an APS-C sensor. This is because you minimize the amount of lens distortion at this focal length, which is typically what you want when filming a talking head. Also, if you go too wide, then you'll risk seeing the HUD from the teleprompter itself in your shot. So just keep that in mind. It's probable that your teleprompter is going to have a small screen because you want to keep the payload of your gimbal as low as possible. So when picking a lens, you don't want to go for one that's too telephoto, as your talent may have to stand really far back and may find it difficult to read the script properly. Teleprompter. There's various solutions on sites like Amazon, but what you're looking for is something that's generally compact and can help keep the center of gravity down on your rig. This will make it easier to balance the gimbal when you're finished. An important thing that I've had to consider with my particular setup is clearance for the phone mount that goes on the front of the teleprompter. So the whole thing mounts on the front of the lens with a series of these ring adapters with a mount for your phone below the lens. Now, what's nice about the Ronin is it has Manfrotto compatible plates, which is nice if you've got Manfrotto tripods, but for this setup, the camera can only be mounted at the rear of this plate. So to allow the phone mount to clear the plate, you need a lens that's long enough. Other gimbals may not require you to use a plate that's as long as this one, and shorter plates compatible with my RS2 may exist, but this is what comes out of the box, so it's just something to bear in mind. In an ideal world, I'd be able to use this 35mm prime lens because of how small and light it is, and it's one that I often use when using a gimbal without a teleprompter. But in this case, I opt for the 16-35mm f2.8 and this 50mm f1.4. These are available from Sony with the FE mount, and they're really good lenses that are obviously long enough for what I want to do. So you have, typical headshot prime, which is 50mm, and then you've got an option which can let you go a bit wider if you need to, but still have that lens clearance that I was talking about. Even though these lenses are quite heavy and it takes a bit longer to balance the gimbal when you're done, I find this works for me. The last step is your choice of Teleprompter app. You want one that has good scroll speed settings, and most importantly, a setting which allows you to flip the horizontal plane of the text. As teleprompters reflect the light that's cast from your phone or your tablet screen, the text will appear flipped and won't be readable. A horizontal flip setting counters this. There are free teleprompter apps out there, but typically if you want settings like horizontal flip, then you have to find a paid app or make an in-app purchase. This is an app that I use and it works well for me. Okay, so everything's mounted to the gimbal. The next step is to balance and calibrate. This can take time as this setup has quite a wide centre of gravity, and Usually what I do is I balance one axis at a time, unlocking and locking axes as I need. After balancing, make sure that all axes are unlocked and then power on the gimbal. Now it's likely for us to be near the payload limit at this point, so your gimbal may shake as it tries to keep balance. If this happens, then don't panic, just try to steady the camera and kind of hold it gently whilst navigating to the menu on the gimbal for the auto calibration. After the gimbal's finished calibrating, it should be more stable. And that's it. Now your talent can either read along with the app in an auto scroll mode, or they may prefer to use a Bluetooth remote like the one that I've got here and control the app themselves. Now in the first case, it's a good opportunity for you to spend some time with them to really dial in that scroll speed that's right for them. It's also a good opportunity to let them warm up, kind of read through the script before going for a take so that you can get some good results. This setup is great for walk and talks, or if you want to be more dynamic with your movement while your talent is standing still and reading off the script. Thanks for watching. I hope you found the information in this useful, and if you have any other experience or findings from using similar gear, then please be sure to let us know in the comments section. It's a niche camera technique, but if it's something that you can pull off well, then it may just be the solution that you're looking for your next project.